Participants: Daniel argues that Social Security is essential but should be prudently reformed. Marcus argues that Social Security's costs, distortions, and design weaknesses warrant scaling back or restructuring. Daniel: let's start with what Social Security actually does. It's an annuity that insures against outliving one's savings and against market crashes wiping out retirement funds. It's inflation-indexed, universal, and arrives every month. That stability is why old age poverty fell dramatically across the 20th century. For the median retiree, that check is the difference between scraping by and a basic, dignified life. Marcus: stability is valuable, but at what cost and with what collateral damage? A pay-as-you-go program transfers from workers to retirees. As the population ages, tax rates must rise or benefits must fall. Meanwhile, the program distorts behavior. People retire earlier than they otherwise would, and private saving is crowded out. That's less capital formation and slower growth. Daniel: the crowd-out argument was strongest when private pensions were defined benefit and coverage broad. Today, the typical worker's 401k balance is modest and market risk is concentrated. Social Security's forced annuitization prevents catastrophic shortfalls for the majority. You can't uncrowd saving if households never would have saved enough to begin with. Marcus: you're defining away incentives. People respond to rules. When the system promises a lifetime annuity, many save less and leave the labor force earlier. Moreover, the system's progressivity is overstated because high earners live longer and collect benefits for more years. That undermines the redistributive intent and raises intergenerational fairness issues. Daniel: longevity inequality is a real problem, agreed. The fix isn't to weaken the program, it's to update its progressivity. We can tilt benefits or contributions to account for differential life expectancy, and we can enhance minimum benefits and widow benefits where poverty risk is concentrated. Those are targeted, technocratic repairs. Marcus: repairs still leave the financing problem. A shrinking worker-to-retiree ratio pressures a pure pay-as-you-go system. That argues for a partial shift to funding, stronger links between contributions and benefits, and a higher normal retirement age to reflect longer average lifespans. Daniel: carefully on the retirement age. Averages mask inequality. Lower-income workers with physically demanding jobs don't live as long, and they can't easily work to 70. A blunt age hike is regressive. Better to use carrots, delayed retirement credits, flexible work rules, and disability pathways for those who can't keep working. On financing, yes, broaden the payroll tax base, close loopholes, and add a modest top-up from general revenue if needed. Those choices are political, not economic impossibilities. Marcus: we also need to be honest about opportunity costs. Dollars taxed for Social Security could finance education, R&D, or families' own savings. Forced annuitization may not match diverse preferences. Some people might rationally want more liquid assets or bequests, not a larger annuity. Daniel: preferences matter, but insurance is most valuable when people misestimate risk and when individual choices impose spillovers. If a large cohort arrives at old age broke, the fiscal and social costs land on everyone: family caregivers, Medicaid, local safety nets. Social Security is pooled, predictable, and relatively low overhead. It solves a coordination problem at national scale. Marcus: then at least acknowledge trade-offs and tighten incentives. Means testing is one option. Target benefits to those who need them, not affluent retirees accumulating assets they won't spend. Daniel: full means testing invites work and saving penalties and undermines political durability. You can get 80% of the gains with less collateral damage, tweak the benefit formula at the top, tax more of benefits for high-income retirees, and lift the payroll cap partially. Pair that with automatic stabilizers. If the trust fund ratio falls, a small mix of revenue and benefit adjustments triggers. Predictable and gradual beats crisis politics. Marcus: another distortion is how the system treats families today versus when the rules were written. Spousal benefits made sense when single-earner households were the norm. Today, dual-earner couples can receive more than single-earner, same-earnings couples. That's a misallocation. Daniel: modernization is overdue. We can redesign auxiliary benefits to be worker neutral, protect caregivers through credits, ensure survivor protection, and reduce windfalls for high-income dual-earner couples. Again, repair, don't raise. Marcus, even your repair agenda doesn't touch long-run growth. A funded pillar would deepen capital and support productivity. Why not carve out part of the payroll tax into mandatory individual accounts with guardrails? Daniel, because transition costs are massive, you'd have to finance current retirees and build new accounts, doubling the burden for a generation. And market risk isn't trivial. 2008 showed how sequence of returns risk can devastate cohorts. If you add a funded layer, keep it supplemental and risk-controlled, not a replacement. The base annuity should remain defined and inflation-indexed. Marcus, let's talk administration. Fraud and overpayment issues are non-trivial, disability determinations are slow and inconsistent. If we can't run the system cleanly, expanding it is irresponsible. Daniel, administration should improve, more data matching, modern IT, and clear metrics on overpayments and appeals. But that's a management problem, not a case against the program's existence. The core retirement benefit is straightforward to administer compared to many means-tested programs. Marcus, you keep returning to poverty reduction as the decisive point. I accept that Social Security reduced elderly poverty. The question is marginal value now. With greater overall wealth and new financial instruments, perhaps the next dollar yields more when invested elsewhere. Daniel, the median retiree remains financially fragile, many have limited liquid savings and depend on the monthly check. Health shocks, rent, and inflation risks haven't disappeared. The marginal Social Security dollar, especially through a targeted minimum benefit and survivor protections, still buys a lot of risk reduction per dollar. Meanwhile, the labor supply and saving distortions you cite can be mitigated with better design. Marcus, summarize your preferred reform in 3 bullets. Daniel, 1. Protect and target, maintain the base annuity, add a true minimum benefit and modernize auxiliary benefits to cut poverty hotspots. 2. Finance credibly, broaden the payroll base, modest top rate adjustments, phased triggers tied to solvency. 3. Align incentives, enhance delayed credits, flexible work rules, and calibrated progressivity that accounts for longevity inequality. Marcus, mine are: 1. Contain scope, gradual means testing at the top and slower real benefit growth. 2. Funded complement, mandatory supplemental accounts with default low-cost portfolios. 3. Raise effective retirement ages with carve-outs for hardship and disability. Daniel, we can live with some of your ideas if they're phased and shield low-income workers. The red line is replacing the base annuity or imposing abrupt cuts. Social Security exists because markets alone didn't and don't deliver reliable old age insurance at population scale. Marcus, and my red line is pretending there are no trade-offs. If we keep the promise, we need to modernize the math on revenue, incentives, and distribution. Daniel, fair. Keep the promise, fix the math. That's a platform most experts can defend, and most citizens can plan around.